Okay, hey everybody. So today I'm joined by Nacho, who, well, his brother in arms, really. We've stood shoulder to shoulder with a megaphone in hand, leading armies of protesters all over London, and it's been quite the honor to be working with this man. And but we've got quite a story to cover, really, about what's been happening and what's coming up in the future. So Nacho, hey man.
Hello, Travis. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So do you want to tell everybody what's going on?
I was arrested after one of our rallies back in April 2021, April the 24th it was. It was a Unite for Freedom march with hundreds of thousands of people attending. It was probably one of our most successful and biggest marches. It was a beautiful, lovely day, peaceful atmosphere, the energy electric, as I'm sure many people here would know if they've attended. And the police, as they usually do, once the march has ended, we usually end up in a park. On this particular day, a load of the protesters or a load of the freedom fighters started congregating in Hyde Park, where Jam for Freedom was actually playing, and in essence, continuing our protest. And the police, which as the numbers start to die down, again, completely peaceful, not one essence, not one bit of trouble the whole day, not one arrest, no essence of trouble whatsoever. Again, peaceful people congregating in a park. As the numbers start to die down and the police feel that they now have the manpower to deal with the amount of people left, they start swarming in and essentially attacking innocent people in a park, harassing people, trying to take equipment, essentially physically attacking people, throwing people to the ground, arresting people. I got arrested on this particular day. I was accused of the charge. Well, I was accused initially of punching a policeman in the face, which was completely untrue, as we shall evidence in the trial. But yeah, so the charges were initially I didn't get the charges till like months later because I was just expecting like a common assault charge. I thought, oh yeah, you'll get a fine or whatever. I did. It was nothing serious enough that I would expect this sort of response. But maybe that's a bit naive of me because I should have maybe expected that they would try to make an example of myself and other fellow protesters because we know they take a very a less a less tolerable approach to our protest as opposed to other other protests protesting about whatever, if you're Extinction Rebellion or BLM or all these other variety of issues. The police and the response seems to be a lot more tolerant. But anyway, so I got arrested on this day. Months later, I received a summons to magistrates court. I think the charge was violent disorder and possession of an offensive weapon. Because once they searched me, obviously, as many of you know, I carry my megaphone on the marches. I'm usually on the megaphone, and the batteries run out very. They run out quite
Well,
quickly, so I
especially
carry
about how much you use it.
exactly. So I need spare batteries. So they try to throw another charge on me, possession of an offensive weapon, which were just the batteries for the megaphone. Again, I didn't think much would come of it, but once I got to magistrates court, I kind of started to. I realized this was a little bit more serious than I anticipated. So they then told me in magistrates, they were like, "This is way too serious. We're going to have to escalate this to Crown Court." And the barrister on the day, legal aid barrister, he was like, "I think you're this is fairly serious. Like you're looking potentially at a custodial sentence." And I was taken aback. I was like, "What?" Like I was surprised. Um, so since then,
Yeah.
basically, yeah, the charge is a violent disorder charge, and it was a possession of an offensive weapon, which only we've recently, my legal team has very, you know, I commend them and good on them. They've managed, you know, they've done brilliant work to actually get the charge dropped, the possession of the offensive weapon, because it was absolute nonsense in the first place. So they've managed to get that charge dropped.
How
But
did they get that dropped?
well, we just had to evidence. We submitted one of the Oracle videos, which I've shared of the day, which very clearly shows me on a megaphone. Because when I was arrested, in the midst of them arresting me, I lost my megaphone. Like the megaphone, you can see it in some of the footage, but it wasn't in my possession when I was arrested. So the police were disputing the fact you've been on these marches, Travis. You know they follow us with cameras constantly, especially the people leading the march.
Oh
They
yeah.
very well know that I have a megaphone at a lot of these marches, and there's even my Facebook picture and a lot. There's so many pictures and footage of me on a megaphone. But of course, they were disputing the fact that I was on a megaphone or had a megaphone that day.
How a battery's a dangerous weapon anyway. I can't get my head around that one
They were
to
just
start with.
looking. They
Yeah.
were just trying to, they were just looking for any reason to add an additional charge. So yeah, we just had to submit evidence, footage of me on the day on the megaphone, and we actually needed a signed statement from the author of the video, or whoever shot the footage, which we've submitted to them, and they've then dropped the charge because I think it would look quite silly, the prosecution trying to pin that on me when it can clearly be seen I had the exact amount of batteries I needed for the megaphone. Like, do you know what I mean? So that charge was dropped, luckily. But the violent disorder charge, there were many. I have many co-defendants, many of which have pled guilty. Not that I don't know them personally, but I know a number of my co-defendants have pled guilty, and three of us who are kind of active members of the movement and have been at many of the marches. We've pled not guilty, and we will be standing trial starting Monday and defending ourselves. But what they're trying to do, they're structuring the case in a way. The violent disorder charge is basically uh, our actions, anyone's actions on that day are attributed. It's like they look at it from a holistic view. So all of the event is looked at as a whole. So it's not my individual actions that matter so much. It's they're going to try and pin what other people done on the day to all of us, if that makes sense. So it's going to be a tricky defense, I think, because I'm not only having to defend my actions, I'm having to account for everyone else's actions, which of course I think it's very difficult to attribute blame to an individual. I can't control what other people do, but the violent disorder charge, they can make the argument that we helped incite it or we encouraged others to behave in whatever manner. So that's why they've gone with that charge, because it's
Yeah.
obviously not to.
Even though if you obviously were there and you saw we were just completely peaceful, like you mentioned, we didn't encourage anybody to do anything aggressive towards the police. And in fact, it was the police who attacked first, if you like. I remember it very clearly, it all going down. I still have it in my mind, the police jumping on you. Like there was a whole army of them just surrounded you. So they definitely attacked us first.
Yeah, like many of us were there. We were peaceful people. I was sat cross-legged when the police started swarming in. I was sat on the ground cross-legged, listening to music, chatting with someone. Then all I see, I'm like, oh right, they're swarming in. And obviously, I jump up. I'm flustered. I was taken aback. I was shocked. I was, and
Yeah.
and then what proceeded to happen happened, and I was arrested. And yeah, but the police were they were the aggressors. If it wasn't for the COVID restrictions, they would never have any reason to behave like that and arrest a bunch of people sat in a park. It was only because of the unprecedented measures at the time that they even had the legal standing to do, which I would argue they didn't, but in their eyes at the time, they had, they had the law on their side to an extent to which they can attack innocent people just for simply being outside. So
So what
yeah.
sentences are they trying, like how long are the sentences they're trying to throw at you?
Well, it can potentially be a custodial sentence. Violent disorder can carry years in prison. Um, it can carry years in prison. It's very hard to estimate or gauge what kind of sentence I would potentially get. It
Okay.
all depends on the judge and how he decides to sentence me, in terms of whether he's going to just look at my actions or he's going to look on the day as a whole. So it's very difficult, but it's a fairly serious charge. Yeah, it can be a fairly serious charge that can carry quite a sentence. Of course, I could potentially get a suspended, or ideally I would get acquitted and we would all get found not guilty. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And ultimately, we're depending on the jury. We're depending on like it's not the judge who's there to try me. It's not the police. I am dependent on a panel of 12 of my peers who will hopefully be rational, sensible people that will be able to decipher through the police's lies, essentially, and make a rational and justified decision. Um, yeah.
So you said there's a few of you that are going to this trial, getting done for this charge.
Yes, there's three of us. I don't. There's three of us who have taken the not guilty plea and are quite active members of the movement. So we will be. I think we're the only three who have pled not guilty. There's loads. I can't tell you how many. There's quite a list. There's probably at least 7 or 8 others who have pled guilty already. So
Is that
they'll
all
just
for
have
the
to,
same day?
same day. Everyone was arrested on that same day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I wasn't aware of that.
No, there's loads of people were arrested on that day, and many of them have pled guilty. But it's only going to be the three of us who are going to stand trial and defend ourselves in court. Yeah,
And so when is the court date? So people
the
know.
it starts Monday. So this coming Monday, the what day is it? The 16th. We're in Southwark Crown Court, which is very close to London Bridge Station. It's like a 1 minute, 2 minute walk from London Bridge Station to Lee Street exit to give you guys a helping, a head start. But yeah, it's due to start Monday, 9:45. We're estimating at the moment it's likely to be at like a 2-week trial, we believe.
Okay.
So any support would be really appreciated. If any of you have been on the freedom marches, if you just want to come and support your fellow freedom fighters, we would all welcome any moral support. Of course, if you can't be there, please send us your good energy, your prayers, your thoughts, and ultimately all we're asking is for a fair outcome. You know, we're not asking to be allowed or excused in any way. We just want a fair outcome. This is completely unjustified to have even this case to have even reached a Crown Court trial, in my opinion. So yeah, but please do try and come and support if you can. If you can't come on Monday, come any other day. But yeah, it would be nice to see some friendly faces there and have obviously the moral support there.
Absolutely. And yes, anybody listening who did attend or has benefited from the outcome of us fighting back against the COVID measures should at least maybe, like at the very least, send you a prayer, because who knows how instrumental it was, the work that we did fighting back against all these COVID measures. And yeah, we've got to stick up for each other, support each other. So is there anything else you'd like to say to the people whilst I've got you here?
Just as you mentioned there, I mean, we've been out there for since the beginning of the first lockdown, and personally, there was a group of about 20 of us who were on the streets, on the megaphone, in the midst of the first lockdown, when the police were even less tolerable, when they were a lot more aggressive, when we had that level of numbers on the streets protesting, and we've managed to build the momentum. People like ourselves have put ourselves on the line. We put ourselves in the firing line, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, we found ourselves, well, you know, in a predicament at this point. But we've managed to achieve a lot in terms of gathering the momentum and uniting and connecting so many fellow people that have similar views. So
We're leading the
yeah,
biggest protest of this century so far. It's quite something to say that.
it is. That's quite the achievement. It's
Yes.
quite the achievement, and it's an honor and a privilege to be in this position. Really, it is, and to have been selected. All of us who can see through the deception and through their propaganda, we are we should be honored. We are privileged to have this wisdom and this level of insight, and we have really been entrusted uh, with a momentous task. But I think we really need to. We're up to it. We've been selected for a reason, and we just need to continue battling on. We need to stay optimistic. We need to stay connected. And yeah, there's many more of us than there is of them. Once we learn to utilize our collective energy and collective resources in an efficient way, their system collapses. So we continue to work on that.
Absolutely. Yes, we will. We'll keep fighting. Well, cheers, Nacho, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Travis, for having me on. It's been an honor working with you over the last couple of years and continuing to be connected with you. So thank you for today. And I'm sure I'll see you soon, Travis.
Yes, brother. Speak soon.
Take care.